Hello there, I'm George Hall, and a double welcome back. Firstly, welcome back to the Good Growth podcast, and secondly, welcome back to the second part of our two-part episode with Tim Hutton. This conversation was recorded back in December 2022, and this part sees us discuss mentoring and coaching, and also Tim's expectations and predictions for 2023. Stepping away from GA4 slightly, something I know that you're very passionate about is coaching and mentoring. I understand you're a mentor yourself. Love to hear a bit more about that, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yeah. So I've been very, very fortunate to be mentored quite well throughout my career, and I think anyone who gets anywhere needs mentors, whether that's consciously as a line manager or unconsciously, even just a friend who's managed a slightly more senior position and tells them how to do that. And so it's always been quite a passion of mine. And during COVID, for example, I sort of reached out to people on LinkedIn and said, 5-minute chat anytime. Everyone's at home. Sure. If you want to talk career, do. And I've been really fortunate to have a lot of good line managers across my career, but also good mentors outside of that. So people from completely different industries and learning those different things and taking that into the everyday. And I think that's, in terms of e-commerce as well, that's really relevant. I think one of the things at YNAP we do is we don't just hire exclusively from fashion. Okay. And we've really seen the benefit of that, of people coming in I did this for an airline company or something like that, and this worked really well. How do we adapt that to fashion? And I think that's where someone like Good Growth is so good to work with, because you can take a bike store and say, actually, look, these guys who make kitchens don't even have an acquisition flow. It's just a sign-up form, but they've done these campaigns. Why don't you look at that? And that goes into the personal as well, of how do you take, rather than just learning everything from the person above you who's done the same career path, how do you take someone who's had a big career change or has taught themselves new skills on the side and take that into your own career? And I think that's why I quite like being a manager, because there's that opportunity to help people get better, and therefore feeding that into mentoring has been really important. And I've been really lucky to be on the Multiverse mentoring scheme. Okay. So they're an edtech startup, or I guess scale up at this point, and that was a really, really good thing to be involved in, working with data apprentices, going through. I had a few who were very early stage in their career, and being able to help mentor and push, and seeing one of them have a big career change and influencing that was really, really good to be involved in, and to give back a bit. And at the same time, learning that it's definitely not it's definitely not a one-way thing. It's not just them coming with questions and you going, this is the answer, this is how you do it. But talking to someone who's perhaps 22, 23 and wanting to ask for a pay rise for the first time in their career, being a manager on the other side of that, you could very easily just go, well, that was very rude of them, or there's no budget for that, sorry, go away. And hearing someone from outside of your circle, where you take that emotional attachment away, has been really beneficial for me to then take, okay, this is trying to remember, because it feels like my early career was a long time ago, but trying to remember what that was like. And if you can't, then go and learn that from someone who's doing that now. And I'd like to think that, one, I hopefully helped people improve. And secondly, you can then take that into my own management of being a lot more understanding of those different levels of career. And I think it's definitely, I would recommend anyone to do it. Even if you're first year of your career, go and mentor someone at university or on an apprenticeship. And likewise, if you're at the far end of your career, there's so many people you can mentor. And also advising people to take that opportunity as well. So even if you go to an analytics event, you meet someone, you add them on LinkedIn, and it could be 9 months away, but they post an interesting article and you're doing the same in your job, fire them a message. You never know, what challenges did you have? How did you manage this? And they could be willing to take an hour and take you through everything. And that unconscious mentoring is what's I've really, really benefited from myself, and tried to give back where possible.
Sure. And do you think there's, I guess, on one hand it's more important, two, there's more appetite for it, given the way hybrid working is, I mean, I've been in jobs where you didn't set foot in the office for 9-10 months. You've not got those water cooler, coffee machine chats. Has that led to an increased appetite for mentoring, do you think?
I think definitely, yeah. You're right. That water cooler, that coffee time, even just that hearing two desks down a conversation and just okay, headphones out. I'm going to listen to how they're addressing this, or hearing live action things happening. It could even be listening to a really heated disagreement, but sitting there going, okay, he's phrased that really well, or she said this in a really, really articulate way that's actually kind of killed the conversation or damn it, and taking those things, and you can take some of that absolutely from team sessions and all of those things, but particularly for some businesses, if you're in a siloed team, all you ever experience is the same 5, 6, 7 people around you, and therefore there's definitely more of an appetite for people to go and do that externally, I think, and find people that they can learn and
Sure.
benefit from.
Well, bringing it right back round to the beginning, some of the things we spoke about at the start, looking ahead to 2023, and we've touched on first-party data, customer acquisition, all sorts of data challenges. I'm going to put you on the spot here and potentially tee us up for another podcast in January 2024. Tim, would you please give us 3 predictions that you have for 2023 for eCom brands and retailers?
I think personalization will be huge.
Sure.
I think is probably number one there of across the entire flow. If you are fortunate enough to have a bricks and mortar store, including that personalization in there, including orders made in store in your list of orders online, for example, that level of, I think one of your colleagues alluded to, hyper personalization is going to be, I think, critical. I think people now expect a very, very good experience online that's relevant to them, based on previous purchases, based on their size, even to the point of the pictures of what someone's wearing. They want to be relevant to their size, to their location, to where they live. All of these things, I think, are going to be so key, and I think that's going to be a lot of brands' top priority for the year. Secondly, I think we're going to see, we touched on it earlier, a lot more companies paying for data.
Okay.
And I don't mean the old-fashioned way of buying databases from third parties, but actively offering discounts, offering money off, offering a free item for giving an email address, or for signing up, or for sharing with a friend, for example. All of those things, I think, we'll start to see that coming more and more to the fore. More sales based on members only, more discounts if you join. And pretty much every website I go to for the first time, after the cookie pop up, the second thing will be join the mailing list, 10% off. They're giving away 10% before I could be there knowing exactly what I want, easily going to make that purchase, but that data is so crucial that let's get you on a list now and target that way.
And do you think that's driven by that data no longer being as freely available, or is it because there's just a desire for more and more granular detail?
I think it's both. It's only both of, yes, that's becoming less and less available.
Sure.
The more privacy regulations that come in, and the more technical limitations like iOS's hide my email or transfer email, those things are making it more and more difficult to target. And the flip side of that is customers are expecting these better experiences, and therefore you need that granular data in order to do that. I think the third for me, I think, is that sustainability and that resell and recycle sort of market. I think people are potentially in the first part of the year, with the cost of living being as it is, there may be a bit less interest in that initially, but I think that's probably the period where brands can really accelerate what they do and take advantage, because when that interest does peak again, they're in pole position to take advantage of that. People are becoming more aware as well and more knowledgeable. Putting a little a green logo next to a product because the material it's made from is not enough anymore.
Yeah.
People want to know where it's made, how it's made, what are the factory conditions, all the way through to delivery. Is it delivered in an eco vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
Is it delivered on a day when there are other deliveries nearby, and therefore it's better for the environment? And we've probably quite rightly seen a few brands in the news for the term greenwashing,
mm-hmm.
Saying something is ethical and it actually being are two very different things. And quite rightly, brands are being called out on that. And I think, again, that's because people are becoming a lot more savvy. And then the other side of that is then, the resell, the recycle, having traded, get £5 off if you share this material with us so we can recycle it. Or I think there was a really good example of the Nike bring in your old trainers and we'll restitch them, make them nice again. Those things, those with at a time of
mm-hmm.
cost of living and things costing a lot, even food and gas, everything being more expensive is so useful. If you need a new pair of trainers and they're X, but actually you care about
mm-hmm.
Sustainability, etc., and can take your old pair and pay half the price in there as new. Why wouldn't you do that? And that's a really good way of, again, driving that brand loyalty, even if potentially the brand new products you sell haven't actually hit that level of sustainability yet. If you can show you're moving towards that with resell, recycle, you will start to drive the loyalty, and then can gradually work on making the rest of that flow more effective.
Sure.
And I think I've definitely seen firsthand a lot of friends. My wife, in fact, has it down to a T. Will research everything before buying a piece of clothing, to the factory everywhere, but even to the point where if a brand is open about it,
mm-hmm.
will be willing to spend. Right?
Sure.
Even if they'll say, okay, it's made from recycled material, fantastic, and a lot of brands will point out that fact, and that's it. And you'll get some, and I had a really good experience with, I think it was Spoke, who do custom tailored clothes, basically. And they were really open of made from recycled materials. This part of the flow of how it's made, we're not happy with, and we know it's not good enough. And we're working on that, but we're not going to hide that fact.
Sure.
And therefore you become a bit like a vendor, even with mentoring, right? The more open you are, the more someone kind of respects that process and respects you as a person or brand. And we've definitely seen people becoming a lot more aware and being more taking that into their purchase experience, and again, going back to that perfect purchase score
mm-hmm.
and how that all goes, that is part of that. If I buy something that's made in a factory that pays their workers a good salary, is shipped in a eco-friendly way, uses good materials, and then turns up wrapped in plastic in a box that's too big.
Defeats the whole purpose, doesn't it?
Exactly, yes. And people remember that, and people forget everything before that step.
Uh-huh.
Go, I don't care how sustainable it is to this point, I'm not buying again because of that.
So 3 predictions, we're going personalisation becoming even more important, but
mm-hmm.
sort of a hyper-personalisation extent. Paying for data,
mm-hmm.
data becomes even more important, and then sustainability to sort of kick in 6 months' time
mm-hmm.
for consumers, but super important for brands now.
I think so, yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Tim, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Good Growth podcast. So thank you very much for your time. Wishing you all the best for 2023, and looking forward to potentially having you back in 12 months' time to see how those 3 predictions got on.
Likewise, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks very much. Well, it was great to have Tim on the podcast and to get his thoughts and insights. And as I said, we're looking forward to seeing how his predictions pan out and maybe having him back on to talk about how they go. If you'd like to be a guest on the Good Growth podcast or have a topic that you'd like to hear discussed, deliberated and debated, please do get in touch. You can email us at inquiries@goodgrowth.co.uk, find us on LinkedIn or on our website, goodgrowth.co.uk. Thanks for listening.